This is Jamie Dyer welcoming you to another edition of the Quo-Cast. And right now, it's time for episode 7 of our reaction series. So each week, I have been reacting, giving my interpretation of the latest Rossi Young in Conversation video. We're on to episode 7, which this week focused on lyrics. But before we get there, if you are new to this, go back and check previous episodes. Go and watch the videos as well. They're sort of between 2 and 3 minutes in length. And basically, Francis Rossi and Bob Young, writer of many Quo hits over the years, have sat down and recorded answers to specific questions about their music, about the process, about personal life, and there's been all kinds of things. And we get to see that the thing that I really appreciate about these videos is that we get to see them and their friendship blossoming. Because, yeah, there's a lot of frivolity and a lot of jollity and a lot of those words coming into these videos, as well as the information. And to me, that's just a delight to see. I love their humor and the way they kind of go about things there. So this week was lyrics, which is something that Bob Young knows quite a bit about. In fact, I'm sure that over the years he's gone back and studied the various lyrics that they've written over the years, because he admits in this episode that he has all the previous books where they've written songs in. So there's going to be books in his garage or wherever, in a cupboard somewhere, with classic Quo lyrics written inside. Maybe other stuff as well. Who knows? You know, stuff that they didn't publish. I mean, they were so prolific at one point. There must be like a song they didn't finish or something where they didn't work on it musically. It's just poetry at this point. Would love to know more information about that. But Bob has been known over the years as a bit of an archiver, someone who has kept pretty much everything to do with this stuff. And for us Quo fans, like, that's really exciting because we love finding out about the origins of things. You know, like he said in the video, where lyrics have been crossed out and changed, and like it can change the entire meaning. And I think the one that usually gets talked about is down, down. You know, they were looking for a duh, duh. And so the lyrics didn't really make sense when all put together, but it didn't matter. Yeah, so the books that he's got there, very exciting. He said bits of it have been published over the years, one of which, I think it was Paper Plane, although I didn't get there, went to the Barbican Museum on display as part of that Quo exhibition last year, wasn't it? I didn't go, unfortunately. Did you go? And what was it like? Do let me know in the comments below. And so, yeah, that's always great to hear that there's this massive archive of like lyrics, certainly from the Rossi Young camp. He says that they're sort of thinking about maybe working on some kind of merchandise to do with the lyrics. I'm not quite sure what that means. I mean, the way I read it is could be a book in the same kind of style as the Francis Rossi book that he released recently, the one about his songs. Could also be maybe just general, what I class as merchandise, T-shirts with the lyrics on. I mean, I think they published one with Caroline lyrics on at one point, didn't they? So it's certainly something that has happened recently. They've started to do that more with anniversaries, and there's certainly plenty of anniversaries. I think I would actually buy a T-shirt with the Down Down lyrics on. You know, I want all the world to see you laughing at me. You know, I think that would be a cool thing. I think fans would probably really go for that. So the second part of the video asks them if they remember which song they penned first. Now, Bob says he remembers, although I don't think it's particularly specified here. However, Francis points out that a lot of people think that the first things they wrote were for Mark Ellie, when in actual fact, the two started collaborating as far back as picturesque matchstickable messages from the Status Quo. So even on the first two albums, Bob Young is certainly credited on at least one track on the Spare Parts album, Antique Angelique. It might be not nothing at all as well. But that I can well believe that, because I've gathered from previous episodes that Bob Young was a great influence on Francis Rossi and encouraged him to write songs. And so that far back, I mean, that, you know, they've been prolific for decades. Now, they also say that there's one that they never actually put out there, called Melanie, as far as we know. And they sing a little bit of it. Because at first, Bob talks about it, and Francis thinks he's referring to Shifting Sands, which the demo has come out at various times, hasn't it? That sort of mournful piano and Francis lyric there, you know, his very kind of mournful lyric. And I need to find another word than mournful. I feel like that was used on something, wasn't it? It was either in Hello Quo or The Party Ain't Over Yet. It might be in the former, I feel. So certainly in the years since it's been used. But this Melanie song, I don't think that's ever been mentioned before, although I might be wrong there. You know, maybe they'll, they'll do something with that one day. Who knows? So that brings us to the end of this episode of the Quo-Cast. And I must say, before we go, actually, I was just about to wrap it up. Did you notice? Yeah, I must say that there was a little reference to Spinal Tap at the end, which I remember seeing Spinal Tap, must have been like 16, 17 years ago, and thinking, wow, this is the Quo story, going from psychedelia into heavy rock. And I remember I saw it at college, and my lecturer said, well, that guy's got long hair like Rick Parfitt, or blonde hair like Rick Parfitt, or whatever it was he said. And I just thought, no, if you look deeper, there's a lot more in there. And as it turned out, you know, Spinal Tap was based on a lot of bands. There's a lot of things in there. And I remember there was a song on the Quid Pro Quo album, My Old Ways, where they mentioned the Heebie-Jeebies have it all together. Well, Heebie-Jeebies, also known as Status Quid, did the Boring song. So I love it when he kind of references these things that get cross-referenced with Quo, you know, and puts... I think that's, you know, that's a funny thing. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Quo-Cast. Bye-bye for now.